Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Super Mario Sunshine. We only have one world left to go to, so huzzah for that. But we have to get the rocket nozzle to do that, so...
Wait a minute. First off, actually, you don't need the rocket nozzle because you can go to Pianta Village as the second level that you go to by using specific wall jumps. Also,
Yes.
You say that this is the last world to go to, but I happen to notice in our internal files that we are not yet halfway done with the game. What does that mean?
I think that means that a good half of this playthrough is just farming blue coins.
Oh no.
As well as Isle Delfino shines.
It's okay. Farming is the wrong.
Farming
word
is
to
not.
use
It's not
there.
gathering blue coins is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But
Farming implies that you could just run around in circles while watching TV, which is probably a more enjoyable
doesn't that
experience.
sound like bliss? But no. So we decide. Jesus Christ! I should have looked at the parts ahead of time. We're seriously gonna watch your ass collect every individual blue coin. Are you fucking insane?
Well, looks like we're doing the green star thing again.
When I recorded this game years ago for SGB, I determined that I too am also going to show off getting all the blue coins, but I made that post-com and made it a Q&A for my supporters. And I still got drunk towards the end of that shit because there's so many of those goddamn things.
I think that's just you showing too much mercy to John Elliott and Greg. Personally.
John Elliott and Greg. That's
you're
right.
Elliott, sorry, Matt Elliott.
Now
Matt Elliott
I'm looking in the mirror. It's like I'm doing this for you. Glug glug.
No, it's now I'm just imagining the Obama putting the medal on himself. It's just John in the middle of a blue coin.
So now that I know what fate has in store for us, Chuckle Fucks, later down the road, I suggest at some point we start writing down tangents so that we know.
We've never needed to write down tangents before. What kind of commentary? This is BrainScratch comms. We can tangent with the best of them. I'm offended that you think we would need to prepare a tangent ahead of time. Good sir.
Ted, I know what you're doing.
Look, considering how much time it's going to take, we could multitask and do the Lord of the Rings extended trilogy movie commentary while doing the blue coins.
Man, it's going to be really confusing when Gimli and Legolas are killing orcs at Helm's Deep and we're saying, hey guys, welcome to part 26 of the Super Mario.
This is the part where Legolas mentions they're taking the hobbits to Isaac. Ryan, how'd you fuck that up? Why do you... I was confused by Lord of the Rings commentary because John just says that out of nowhere. What did he fucking mean by that? What did Ryan do?
Welcome to part 96 of the Super Mario Sunshine commentary, where I will expound upon how all of the changes made to these movies make everyone in Middle-earth dumber than they were in the books.
I mean, they probably... I haven't read the books. They are free on Kindle Unlimited, though, so I probably could read the books.
I think only Fellowship is, but I could be wrong.
I was looking through a list, and I saw Hobbit and Fellowship, so maybe I just assumed that all three would be...
I know Hobbit and Fellowship are. I don't think Two Towers and Return of the King are.
Why would
We need
they
to
do
buy
that?
the other books.
That's so mean.
Look, you read the first book for free, and by then you're committed, so you buy the others. But, they're not all that
Also, that chain
expensive
chomp
anyway.
skidded over the water and didn't go in.
Yeah, trick shot.
Yeah, it's like you're skipping rocks, only the rock's a chain chomp.
I mean, the Kindle versions of the books are pretty good. They're not all that expensive. It's only the, newfangled illustrated version that's pricey.
So here's the thing. I was always a paper book purist for a really long time. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love me paper book where you gotta hold it in your hands and mark the page, and then there's the subtle anticipation of knowing how much space you have left, and oh man, it's great. But there's two things. One, paper books take up a fuck ton of space, and I just had piles of them to the point where even after double stacking my bookshelf, I still had too many books and they started piling on the floor. So I needed to put them into plastic boxes and put them in the basement. So there's that. Also, my sister got me a Kindle for Christmas and I was like, it would be rude not to use this. So I started it. And it's
Fair
convenient.
enough. Are you a hardcover or paperback man?
John, you really buy me dinner before you ask me if I like it hard or I like it soft. Jeez. To answer your question seriously, if it's cheaper and I'm just reading at home, I'll buy the hardcover, because a lot of the time the hardcovers will end up being really cheap because nobody wants to spend $30 on a hardcover book, so they'll end up in bargain bins at Barnes & Noble. Practically speaking, though, a lot of the time I will just buy the paperback because it's, a good $10 cheaper. What I don't like, however, is when I have begin the series in paperback, right? Catch up with where everybody else is. The new book comes out. It's only in hardcover, and then I have the terrible choice of either catching, reading the book right away with everybody else, or waiting a year for it to come to paperback.
Harry Potter, we meet again.
That's me with Mercy Thompson. I've got the first 9 books in paperback, and then I caught up with the series like 3 or 4 books ago, and I've been getting the hardcovers, and they're like twice the size of the paperbacks.
When I started reading Harry Potter for myself, the first 4 books were already in paperback, but I caught up after Goblet of Fire after just a couple of weeks, because I've marathoned through those books. So when Order of the Phoenix came out, it was hardcover, and I was like, fuck!
You got the freaking door stopper.
Yep. And I was like, and it's big too. Like, I think Order of the Phoenix was just as large, if not a little larger than Goblet of Fire.
It's
is
the longest in the series, yeah.
Yeah,
oh my
I'm pretty
God.
sure it's the longest one.
I'm putting this next to the other book, and it sticks out like a motherfucker. Maybe that's why I had a hard time reading it when it originally came out. There's just animosity. It's like,
Well,
you
here's the
ruined
thing.
the feng shui.
Reading. So the thing about this is a problem with a lot of fantasy books. Is that fantasy is hard to read. Especially the first 2 or 3 hours of the book. Now, granted, this is much easier once you get into a series. But the thing about starting a new fantasy series is often that they're throwing around all these terms that you have no idea what the hell's going on. And if the writer's decent, they're not just going to exposition dump at you at the first chapter so that you understand what's going on. So it makes reading it a lot harder because you're just like, what am I reading? What does this mean? Who are you? You have to remember 15,000 different names too.
Or you could be J.R.R. Tolkien and begin your book with a prologue that is literally an essay on Hobbit culture, with a section at the end about hobbits and their particular cultural relationship to pipe tobacco, and then you start the book. Which, I'm pretty sure the first audiobook just flat out didn't include.
I mean, I get wanting to build lore, but before you begin reading, though, isn't that better for a separate book?
I mean, J.R.R. Tolkien does have a separate book just for building lore. It's called The Silmarillion, and it's why nobody reads it.
But isn't it? So I never read that. I know of it, but I'm assuming safely that it also has that tidbit with tobacco and hobbits. No, that's just the prologue to the Silmarillion. Actually begins with the creation myth of the setting, actually, which is interesting to read.
So listen, I know we're talking about tangents, but I have to say, it is somewhat impressive that the game remembers that Mario is wet and will have him drip water everywhere after you get out of the water.
Christ, that was risky.
Yes, it was.
I don't know why he did that.
It is a neat detail that you can use that as a trick to get across the ooze. This is the level where you have to do all sorts of platforming over and under the level, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're expected to climb underneath because there's the grating underneath and do platforming on the mushrooms in order to get the flood back. And if you think about it, Bowser Jr. should have just, instead of putting flood somewhere where Mario can pick him up, you should have just put flood inside a giant pile of fiery ooze so Mario could never pick him up. But Bowser Jr. is also a 6-year-old, so I don't blame him too much.
Fire goop as normal. Bring Kamek to freeze the water.
Oh, right. This was back when Kamek didn't really, matter at all. Although Kami Koopa is better anyway. # free Kami Koopa.
That's Paper Mario, right?
Yes, Paper Mario. Kamek was also put into Paper Mario and Sticker Star, and he was lame and bad in Sticker Star, so we don't like to mention him. ever. Are you actually making progress with this? Because it
No,
feels
Very slowly.
one day.
It's because the enemies keep
Filling the area again.
homing in
yeah.
on the location, and then Ryan gets distracted because he wants to clean up the spot where the snail trail is, and then he can start making progress.
So you can't do like the Mario 64.
Long jump. No.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like using the lava as jumps to like kind of
Nope.
hop your way across. Okay.
You cannot control Mario once he starts bouncing around from the lava goop. If you get lucky, you can probably make it, but
I think that I can't tell if it was just your input, but it looked like the lava was sending you backwards when you landed on it to like specifically try to avoid that happening.
No, I think that was because he was using the spin jump and he just happened to be facing backward when he landed.
You know what? That tracks.
Yeah, but like getting hurt by floor hazards in this, like the lava and the spikes, is essentially a death sentence because you get stun locked on your way down and you just get comboed to death.
So are we just going to do the level properly after all?
I don't remember what I did, so probably yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he's going towards the intended way. Oh, so you see this part shows off both methods, albeit unintentionally, likely, but at the very
You
least.
see, I respect Ryan for this because he could have done the sunk cost fallacy method where he just, well, I'm gonna do it. I've already spent this much time trying to do it. But if you go that way, it ends up taking more time than if you had just admitted defeat and done it the right way.
Well, I mean, it depends if you do it the other way perfectly the first time, though. But that's the risk you take.
No, that's what I'm getting though. Is like he could have dug his feet in the ground and continued to do it. Is the thing, the cheese way, or he could just admit, "Oh my God, you Mario, your foot is in the fire goop. Are you okay? No, all right."
So at this point, you do a backwards long dive.
Yeah.
To reach that platform. Yeah, because for some reason, it's kind of like a hidden tech in this game, but it's one of my favorite things to do in this game is the backwards long dive, what Ryan just did there. Because for some reason, trying to initiate a sidestep but doing the dive gets Mario like twice his height and for twice the momentum.
You know, though, like, I used to really like this level, and I'm not really sure why, because looking at it now and thinking back to when I played it as a kid, I can't remember anything particularly remarkable about this stage other than the fact that it's darker than most of the other stages, and the grating underneath is I guess a memorable set piece, sort of. It's not as visually interesting as it could be.
I guess I like that it kind of feels more like a tropical town and not as touristy. Like it feels like and like the being built on a big tree kind of thing with the big mushrooms is also kind of neat. But I agree, like actually trying to play this level I would say it's one of the least interesting ones.
But there's nothing much to it, too. Like, it's not a very large world. You can see it all from that mushroom that Ryan was standing on, outside of like the cloud sequence above you. But there's not much to that part either.
I guess part of it is that you do have the whole section underneath, which adds to the space. I mean, I guess I do find it neat that you can cheese your way up here earlier than you're supposed to, because for the most part, the game doesn't really let you do anything out of order. Because all of the other levels in the game are opened up at specific set paths. It's like, okay, this is when this one opens. The fact that you can get into this one early is kind of neat, in theory, I guess.
I actually straight up forgot that this level had a day-night cycle to it. Well, not a cycle,
that is also
but
somewhat memorable.
Day-night variance, anyway. You know, I think what's getting me now is that this level is very flat.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't seem to have as much, like, terrain variance as it probably should.
It kind of feels haphazard, actually, now that I'm looking at it, because, like...
It's very blocky.
Like, this... It does somewhat just feel like this is a bunch of platforms somebody put together and decided it was a level as opposed to feeling like it was made intentionally. Like, I think the best way to think about it is when you did the Piantissimo race, where Ryan just kind of made a straight line up the tree and then won. It's like there wasn't really much of a path there. You just kind of went. Versus like the Noki Bay area, the platforming is much more deliberate.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of awkward in that it's like a weak... It's a weak note to end on if you're playing the levels in order. Which is what we're doing for this playthrough. So it's a weak note to end on in the middle of our playthrough.
Are we ending on it, though? It's only part 13.
In the middle of our playthrough. In fact, you know, now that I think about it, the entire end game of Sunshine feels a bit cobbled together. You have this level, and then you have the volcano and final boss, which are just kind of like a really short, albeit headache-inducingly difficult, revisit of the leaf boat squirt steering.
Some of the worst boat controls I've ever played, yeah.
Because Corona Mountain does not feel climactic.
It's too short to feel climactic.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... It's short, and it's also just like, it's very mundane. Boat ride in the lava. That's it.
I'm sorry, did that durian down there just fall through the grating?
I think it did.
Well, the grading wanted nothing to do with the durian.
I think so. I'm thinking of the other Mario games with their endings. Like Mario Galaxy, the 2 Galaxy games, they obviously have very climactic show stoppy kind of endings on purpose. You know, in terms of like the gameplay, like the levels are really fun, but the final bosses are pretty easy. And then I'm thinking of something like Mario 64, where
Bowser in the Sky felt climactic.
It did. It's like, it's not any different than the other Bowser levels, but it is definitely a step up in difficulty, for sure, even if the final boss is mostly just the same. I guess the new music also helped, and it is a lot darker in that room, too, so it did add a sense of finality to the whole situation. I mean, I'm not a fan of the 3D world final boss. I think Cat Bowser looks kind of dumb, personally, but you have to respect them for, if you're gonna go with it, go all the way with it. So
I did like the entire setup for that fight, though, like climbing the skyscraper and dealing with the Bowser clones.
Oh God! Oh yeah. No!
Oh, the Chuckster level.
Oh,
these guys are shirtless. Yeah. No shirt and no shoes.
Ryan,
no
you're wasting 3 other people's time. Get to it.
The thing that makes the Chucksters annoying isn't necessarily the level or the Chucksters themselves. It's the fact that you get kicked out of the level whenever you fail.
Yeah, and you basically only have one chance, because anytime you're slightly misaligned with this guy, like you just fucking die.
Yeah. So for proper context, if you don't know, and I'd be surprised if you didn't, in this special stage, you're talking to the Chucksters, and they're launching you across the board, but the direction they throw you is dependent on the angle you approach them.
Yep.
So if you're not directly north or south of them, which you will not, most of the time, you're getting thrown at an angle. Even if it looks like you're perfectly aligned with where you want to go, and that is what makes this so infamous.
Yes.
Honestly, Ryan's doing far better than I would.
Also, you have to make sure that you land against a barrier, otherwise you just
Oh my God.
Oh!
I was
first try.
So you could have edited it past the fuck ups. I'll never believe a first try in post-com.
So here's the thing, though. Ryan got insanely reckless with that last throw, which is one of the easier ones to line up because you have the line and the geometry in order to do it. So it's like, after going that far on your first try, I don't know why I wouldn't be that cocky to just press the A button right away. I would have waited for him to walk all the way around. I don't give a crap. Oh my God.
We'll be ending the mandatory shine sprites in the next part of Super Mario Sunshine, so catch you all then. Later.